Okay, so I was on the radio on Tuesday, August 2nd, 2022, and I overslept. So forgive me. You're going to come in on maybe you missing 25% of the interview. So this dealt with technology for seniors. So please stay tuned.
Just like with those things, technology, uh, sometimes it has to be written down. So that's what prompted me to write the book because I'm thinking advanced. I'm thinking I could just do a couple tutorials and send them a link and it'll be cool. No, that's for my advanced learners, the ones who need help with basic technology. They need a book, because think of the way that people learned that was totally different. Back some decades ago, when you go to school, the teacher is writing the lessons. Even the way she grades is in a paper book. She's writing on a chalkboard. Everything is visual and manual and nothing using technology. Basically, we barely look. My generation had the projectors and VHS recorders, but now in my children's generation, they're born to technology. He's 13, but at the age of 1 and 2 years old, he was getting a tablet when we go out in public, so they're used to, it comes second nature to them to go straight through applications and do all this different stuff. And here grandma is going, what? What is that? Like I remember even my grandma, when I was at her house, probably about a year or so ago, she was like, Don, can you just make the phone stop blinking? And I said, Grandma is supposed to blink. She was like, it just bothers me, and eventually I had to sit her down. And this is actually recently. I said, Grandma, I'm not saying that you're stupid. I'm not saying you're incompetent. I'm saying right now you're 100% dependent upon your children. And if it
Yes.
comes down to it, you will be right in a nursing home because you're dependent upon other people. When you go to the doctor's office, they're jotting all this down. They got to protect themselves as an entity. So they know if your children got to bring you, if you're able to pull up your own virtual office visits on your phone, or does somebody have to assist you? All those things are jotted down in doctor's notes, and it will be used against you. It can and will be used against you. So she said, well, what do you want me to do? I said, let me teach you. I do her hair. I said, every time I come over, let me give you a lesson on your phone. She was like, okay.
A delicious cup of coffee is a daily staple. But if you are one of 50 million Americans that suffer from acid sensitivity or digestive issues, that cup of Java can ruin the rest of your day. Until now, introducing Tyler's Coffee, an acid-free alternative to the traditional bean.
I knew that there was a need because my father had a need. And if my father had a need, then how many other people have a need?
The key to Tyler's Coffee is the roasting process.
We knew we wanted to go USDA certified organic. So we wanted to be the purest and cleanest coffee in the world. We had to source stuff from Africa, we had to source stuff from Brazil, we had to source stuff from Chile, and we put it through our proprietary Z-roasting processor. So what that really truly means to you is that the coffee doesn't have inflammatory properties in it. I'm dedicated to serving 50 million Americans that suffer from stomach-related modalities, and also the millions of other people that just deserve a great tasting cup of coffee that's healthy and safe.
Affiliated with Tyler's Coffee, but I can tell you that drinking acid-free...
They can, but I think, with the onset of COVID, I think we become more dependent on our tools than ever in our lives.
Yep.
We really have relied on them more and more and more because, we weren't allowed to get outside of our boxes, so to speak, for such a long period of time, that our tools became the only means that we could communicate by.
Yes, exactly. And that's the key factor in which I try to reiterate to my senior students is that we saw in 2020 what could happen. And it was something that nobody was expecting. And so if the world got to shut down again due to whatever reason, you need to be able to contact Instacart. Because see, I was an Instacarter. My business shut down, so I'm out delivering groceries. You're going to have to be able to understand how to go through Instacart, how to do your doctor's appointment, because the doctor's appointments were still happening. You see, it was just in a different manner. And if you deem yourself incompetent, meaning like the perception of competence changes from decade to decade, year to year. So 20 years ago, you may not have had to use your phone, but in 2022, you are deemed dependent upon people if every time something happens, like, the doctor communicates with you, or look at how the vaccine. In my state, you had to sign up online. They didn't care if you didn't know how to use the internet or if you didn't have Wi-Fi. You had to set up online, and that's your problem how you're going to get online and set up your appointment. And it was a lot of seniors that had to be dependent upon their children and grandchildren to sign them up. And think of singers who don't have children. Some people had children and children might have passed before them. What are you supposed to do then? So, in essence, technology for seniors is empowering elderly people to maintain your independence. It's great for your mental health. It's great for the mental health of your family members as well, because they don't have to worry about, oh my goodness, what's mom going to do or dad going to do if they're sitting at home and the world shuts down again. Because I was that child. My father, it shut down and he's living an hour from me and he needed assistance. So even though he wasn't that old where he could do take certain things in technology, he wasn't as advanced as other people. So I'm ordering Instacart on his behalf. You see? So, that's my whole thing in, it's empowerment, and it goes great with mental health for elderly citizens.
Yeah, that's huge. And I think that is where we have to realize that our older people are really have problems. And, when my father-in-law was in in an advanced care place, when they shut down, the only way we could communicate was through the window. And he had to be on his iPad communicating with others. And so we'd be at the window talking to him via the iPad while he was at the window. So that was something that was an eye opener, because if he wasn't trained on that iPad, he would have never been able to communicate in any way, shape, or form.
Right. And can you imagine what that does to people who are not trained? It makes you feel helpless. It does something to your mind. And I think that especially, I don't think it's exclusive to elderly people what change does, but I think it can be detrimental to the health of elderly people when, like, even like I said, working in a nursing home, where sometimes they wouldn't want to move these people into different rooms because it does something to them, changing, so it just does something to you mentally, where the onset of new things,
Well,
it can
and
do
I
something to you.
definitely does. My mother, unfortunately, was senile at her older age and needed to be in an extended care facility.
Mhm.
COVID did not kill her, but everything around COVID did.
Yeah.
They took away newspapers, they took away other things in her environment that drove her off the deep end. She was functioning well to that time, but they prevented people from coming and seeing her in her environment. And
Oh
then,
my goodness.
little things like a newspaper every day was something that kept her chained to reality. And
Yes.
that wasn't available anymore. And, all the other things around it made it so that she literally went into a demented state and never came back.
Wow. So was she already having issues with that prior to COVID? I think you were
She
saying that, right?
was, but it was
Yeah.
worsened by it.
Yeah,
It was
absolutely.
much worsened by the things that were done to save her life.
Yeah. And I noticed that at the nursing home that I was working at prior to the pandemic, where as soon as the pandemic happened, I said, oh, this is about to be real bad, because I knew that such a drastic change to where they couldn't see their relatives. They were restricted to their room. They couldn't come downstairs, get their hair done. I know that hair seems frivolous. And I even wrote this to the owners of the company I was contracting out of. I know it's frivolous. It seems like it on the surface, but hair is a form of mental health. You know what I'm saying? I think people didn't even addressing mental health. issues. I think people didn't even understand that until the pandemic, where you're sitting at home with your hair all messed and couldn't get it colored and couldn't get it cut and all that stuff. Well, that's the same with elderly people, where their whole world was changed, especially in the nursing home setting and these assisted living settings where, yes, for their safety, they had to be isolated, but that does something. That's what we do in the prison, show Alzheimer's, anything like that, from my understanding. But you could see the deterioration as soon as the governor shut everything down. We were out apartment shopping because we were looking for an apartment for him to be closer to me. And I remember he just Larry Hogan just did everything last minute, and I get why, because people panicked. I don't know. So he just was like, okay, everybody got to be in the house by 5 p.m. And I was like, oh my gosh, you could see within a month or two, he was deteriorating, because he never seen nothing like this. He was 67. He never seen the world shut down like this, where you couldn't go anywhere, where you could get in trouble being on the road. So, that's where technology steps in hand, because, think of how, like I said, with Instacart, stuff like that, having grocery delivery, if you can't drive, you need to be able to get into a Lyft or Uber if an emergency arises, because your relative is not always able to come over and get you. You're going to have to understand how to navigate through an app, what to do if your software needs to be updated. All those things go hand in hand with technology for seniors, because my intention is for it to be an ongoing series, because technology is ever evolving, and it doesn't appear to be have any, it doesn't appear to be stopping. It's not going to stop. It's cost effective for businesses, myself included. And either you can accept it or lose your independence. That's what it comes down to.
Are you tired of feeling frustrated, unfulfilled?
Know how to use a program, and then they change all the buttons on it so that the buttons are now hidden in a different place than when they were used to. So all of a sudden you've got to learn that whole program all over again, because it's now a totally different program.
And I want to give perspective on that, because I had a client. Now she got to be like close to 70. And I remember when I changed the interface on my site, my booking site, she was booking everything online. She said, she just texted me, Dawn, I can't figure it out. Listen, I need an appointment for this day. And I want to explain to people why, because I have an app as well, why people change the interfaces and why buttons is different places. Is because the people who are using technology text in and complain, or send emails and complain about, you need to make your stuff easier, or they might make such a problem. I had a lot of problem clients to where I said, let me make this interface easier to protect myself liability wise. And it changes the whole thing. So by the time you come on my app, it had to be updated. My website had to be updated, because we have to change according to people who more time often nice people who give us problems. It ain't even the nice clients. It's the ones who make you want to pull your hair out. Where it's like,
I can understand that. My iPhone, the biggest change was when they took away the button that you can access your homepage. So fortunately, my girl who was working for me at the time found a way to put a button on there that allows me to access my homepage without the button being there all the time. So it's very useful. There's usually the technology workaround that's there if you want to look for it.
Right. And that's another thing I learned speaking with my elderly students. I think that there's a misconception that people have with people who are like younger in technology. They think that we know how to operate the stuff offhand. We're guessing. We like play with the phone till it does what we want it to do. So I just had one of my students last week. She has an iPhone. She couldn't figure out how to get it off silent mode. We didn't even know it was on silent mode. So I'm an Android user, but I do have an iPad. I played with that phone for 15 minutes. And iPhones, just like Androids, change models. So you don't know what model, it's not a one size fit all cookie cutter approach. So I just kept playing. I said, oh, here we go. And then what I do is I go back and say, now I want you to do it.
Exactly. What my grandson who's 6 years of age, has taught me that don't be afraid to push any button. You always can
Right.
undo it. You can always undo it. Just push every button until you get a response.
Look at 6 years old. See, look at that. I love that. It's like these little kids, they are so advanced. It's like, it's undeniable. And I get how that could be embarrassing for some people, like my 6-year-old or my 6-year-old grandson, or, my little kid had to teach me whatever. But, I think sometimes you just got to put your pride to the side and let these little children teach you some stuff.
Well, Dawn, we've covered a lot of pearls today. Now, this show is called How to Live a Fantastic Life Show.
Okay.
How do you live a fantastic life?
Ooh, okay. So I live a fantastic life. I could say by doing what I love. So I purposely picked the area of my career that I love doing, which is cosmetology. I love speaking with people. I keep a fantastic life also by listening to other people's stories. I love being around people that think different than me. I love that because I just be like, wow, I didn't know that, So that's where I love TikTok, because everybody who shows up on my For You page is totally opposite of me. So that's how I live my fantastic life. Just, doing those things and keeping different people around me, keeping different perspectives, and just trying to stay positive.
Now, how can others live a fantastic life through technology?
It's important to forgive yourself and stop thinking that there's something wrong with you for not knowing it. Like, just understand, look at it from a perspective of it's information sharing as opposed to I'm teaching you something. Because the same child that teaches me things, he assists me in these classes, and he'll be sitting in the class going, I didn't know that. So it's like I might know some things that you didn't know, and you might know some things that I didn't know. So I think that is important to keep in mind in regards to living your fantastic life, is to forgive yourself and not be hard on yourself.
Well, Dawn, we're almost at our end now. So how can people get in touch with you and find more about your world?
Okay, all you have to do is go to IamDawnWilliams.com and then click on the Technology for Seniors link. It's just as simple as that.
Simple. Okay, thank you, Dawn, for being here today. I had a lot of fun today.
Okay, I did too. Thank you so much for having me again. I really appreciate that.
Bye for now.
You've been listening to How to Live a Fantastic Life with your host, Dr. Alan Stephen Lycka. If you love the show, be sure to share with your family and friends. We are heard daily on this network. Dr. Lycka wants you to live your best life. Visit coachingwithdrlycka.com and book your free 15-minute discovery call today. Remember to pick up your copy of The Secrets of Living a Fantastic Life today at Amazon.com. Until next time, have a fantastic life.